The aftermath of the siege left Earth stronger, wiser, and more united than ever. Humanity had faced the might of the Galactic Empire and survived not by sheer force but by intelligence, courage, and creativity. Cities that had once seemed ordinary now pulsed with life as hubs of innovation, defense, and cooperation. Humanity had not only protected their planet, they had proven that cleverness, teamwork, and determination could outmatch even the most advanced alien force. Dr. Elena Reyes stood in the command center, reviewing data from the previous battle. Ships had been observed, studied, and repelled. Every encounter had provided valuable insight, and every human contribution, from engineers to pilots to civilians, had made a difference. The world had truly become a united species, working together to protect their home. Across the globe, celebrations were careful but heartfelt. Humans recognized their victory was not an end but a milestone, a demonstration of what they could achieve when united. Engineers refined drone systems, scientists improved energy shields, and communities reinforced cities with hidden defenses and sustainable technology. Life was returning to normal, yet the awareness of what they had accomplished lingered, filling every citizen with pride. The Galactic Empire, meanwhile, watched quietly from beyond the solar system. Their admiration for humanity was begrudging but genuine. The humans were unpredictable, adaptive, and resourceful, qualities that made them more than just another species to be conquered. Some officers argued for caution, while others debated strategies to approach Earth in the future. One thought resonated among them all. Humans were unlike any species they had faced before. On Earth, Elena coordinated with teams to analyze alien technology captured or observed during the siege. Even minor discoveries led to breakthroughs. Human engineers found ways to improve energy distribution, AI algorithms became faster and more predictive, and defensive systems gained layers of adaptability never imagined before. Humanity was learning from the invaders without ever surrendering, turning potential threats into opportunities for growth. Among ordinary people, the spirit of achievement was equally strong. Citizens contributed ideas, volunteered for research projects, and shared innovative solutions to everyday problems. Schools taught not only traditional subjects but also teamwork, strategy, and creative problem-solving. Every child understood the value of cooperation and the power of ingenuity. Humanity's strength was no longer in its weapons alone. It was in the mind, heart, and unity of every individual. Despite the victory, Earth remained vigilant. Scouts and satellites monitored the edges of the solar system, ensuring no surprise threats could approach unnoticed. Drones patrolled skies and oceans not as instruments of fear, but as guardians of safety. Humanity understood that the galaxy was vast, full of unknowns, and that preparation, foresight, and unity were the keys to survival. The Galactic Empire returned intermittently over the following months, sending smaller fleets to test defenses, study human adaptation, and understand the limits of Earth's ingenuity. Every attempt was met with new strategies from humans. Decoy cities, adaptive drones, energy barriers, and predictive AI systems challenged the Empire's expectations. Time and again, humans proved that creativity and intelligence were more powerful than raw strength. Dr. Reyes reflected on the larger implications. Humans had faced an enemy that was stronger, more experienced, and technologically advanced. But Earth had survived and thrived. The lesson was clear. The human spirit was not something that could be measured by power alone. Courage, adaptability, and cooperation could turn even the smallest advantage into victory. Across the planet, leaders discussed the future. Humanity had secured Earth, but the galaxy awaited. The knowledge gained from encounters with the Empire could be used to explore, protect, and connect with other species on more equal terms. It was a moment of transformation. Earth was no longer isolated in fear, but prepared to engage wisely with the universe. Elena visited schools to speak with students, sharing lessons learned during the siege. She told them about teamwork, courage, and the importance of creativity. "The galaxy is vast," she said, "and one day you may reach stars we cannot even imagine. Remember that intelligence, kindness, and unity will guide you more than weapons ever could." Children listened intently, inspired by the stories of ordinary people achieving extraordinary things. Meanwhile, humanity began sharing its achievements with nearby friendly systems. Scientists exchanged knowledge on energy, AI, and sustainability. Diplomats established careful communication with species that valued cooperation and peace. Earth's victory had not only protected the planet, but elevated humanity's reputation across the galaxy. Humans were no longer a passive world. They were a force defined by ingenuity and resilience. The Galactic Empire, observing from afar, realized something important. Earth was not a prize to be claimed, it was a teacher. Other species, once dominated by the Empire, began looking at humans with respect. The stories of courage, intelligence, and creativity spread throughout star systems, inspiring those who had once felt powerless. Humanity's influence grew not through conquest but through example. Back on Earth, ordinary life flourished. Cities glowed with new energy, farms thrived with sustainable technology, and children learned the importance of curiosity and courage. Humans understood that victory was not a one-time event. It was an ongoing commitment to growth, adaptation, and unity. The shield had kept them safe, but it was their spirit that had ensured survival. Elena, looking at the night sky, felt a quiet pride. The stars, once symbols of challenge and fear, now represented possibility. Humanity had defended its home against a galaxy-spanning empire, and had learned that true strength was not in domination, but in intelligence, collaboration, and creativity. Plans for the future were already in motion. Humanity would explore neighboring star systems, establish peaceful colonies, and develop technologies to safeguard not just Earth, but the knowledge and culture that defined them. The galaxy was vast and full of unknown challenges, but humans were ready. They had faced the impossible and emerged wiser, stronger, and more united than ever. The Galactic Empire would continue to observe, but Earth had made one thing unmistakably clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. They could adapt, learn, and overcome. They could face challenges far beyond their size and power and emerge victorious. Elena turned to her team. "This is only the beginning," she said. "We've defended our planet, but our future lies among the stars. Let's ensure that every lesson we've learned, every bit of knowledge we've gained, guides us forward." Across Earth, the citizens felt a renewed sense of purpose. Engineers, students, soldiers, scientists, and everyday people knew they were part of something greater, a living, united species capable of shaping its destiny. The shield had protected their bodies, but it was their minds, hearts, and collaboration that had truly defended their world. And somewhere, beyond the edges of the solar system, the Galactic Empire took note. They had encountered a species unlike any before. Humans were resilient, clever, and fearless. They had defended their home with strategy, creativity, and unity. They had turned threats into opportunities, weakness into strength, and challenges into triumphs. The story of Earth's survival spread quickly. Neighboring species marveled at humanity's achievements. Humans became symbols of courage, ingenuity, and hope. And on Earth, as children gazed at the night sky, they imagined worlds yet to explore, challenges yet to face, and victories yet to win. The planet that had once shut its doors to the galaxy had opened a new chapter, not of fear, but of strength. Humans had proven themselves capable of extraordinary things when united. The shield would continue to protect them, but it was the human spirit that would shape the future. And as stars glittered across the cosmos, Earth's people knew one truth that would guide them forever. No empire, no matter how vast, could overcome a species that was clever, united, and determined to thrive. Humanity had won this battle. They had survived, adapted, and grown stronger. And now, with eyes turned to the stars, they were ready for whatever the universe might bring next. Earth's story was no longer one of isolation. It was a story of courage, intelligence, and unbreakable spirit, a story that would inspire the galaxy for generations to come. The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. Centuries had passed since humans had walked among the stars, yet their names still lingered in whispers among the oldest alien civilizations. The Zetherians, rulers of countless star systems, believed humans were extinct. They considered humans fragile, unpredictable, and ultimately unworthy of remembering. Yet somewhere, far from the prying eyes of the galaxy's conquerors, a single human waited in silence. His body lay in a cryo-chamber buried deep beneath layers of rock and dust on a forgotten planet. For 500 years he had slept, unaware of the universe that had moved on without him. The chamber hissed and clicked. Lights flickering as a system malfunction stirred him from centuries of frozen slumber. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim light. His name was Elias, and he was the last remnant of humanity's golden age of space exploration. He blinked, trying to remember who he was, yet his instincts were sharp, as if the essence of survival itself flowed in his veins. The air inside the chamber was thin, stale with age, yet it held the faint scent of machinery and old metal. Elias sat up, stretching his limbs carefully. Though his body had been preserved, time had left him weak, and yet his mind was alert. The systems around him flickered and hummed, ancient computers still running long after their creators had vanished. A soft green light blinked on one console. Elias leaned closer. The display read, "System online, human ship detected, repair required." His pulse quickened. Memories flooded back, of ships, of engines, of the stars streaking past like rivers of light. He walked carefully through the abandoned facility, the metal floor echoing beneath his boots. The walls were lined with schematics and tools long forgotten. At the heart of the complex rested something extraordinary. The Elbow of Fate, a ship unlike any he had ever seen. Its hull gleamed with a strange, almost organic shimmer, as though it had been designed to think, to adapt. Elias ran his hand along the smooth surface. This is human engineering," he whispered, awe in his voice. No one else could build something like this. The ship had been damaged in a long-past battle, but even in disrepair, it radiated potential. Elias studied the control panels, the circuits, the engine cores. The ship's AI, dormant for centuries, seemed to sense his presence, lights blinking slowly in acknowledgement. As he explored, he realized something alarming. Sensors indicated movement outside the facility. A small Zitherian patrol ship was approaching. The aliens' technology had advanced even further since his time, and they could detect even minor disturbances on the planet. Elias had only one option: activate the Elbow of Fate. He worked quickly, using tools scattered across the facility. His hands moved with precision, instinct guiding him. Despite the centuries of sleep, his mind adapted to the alien technology, recognizing patterns that Zitherian engineers would have overlooked. Sparks flew, circuits hummed, and the ship shivered as it came to life. The main console lit up, and a calm female voice resonated through the cabin. "Welcome, human. Systems partially operational. Repairs required for full activation." Elias smiled. "I guess we both have work to do." The Zitherian patrol ship hovered above the facility, scanning the area. Elias knew that if they discovered him, the patrol would not hesitate to destroy the chamber and him without thought. Using the ship's semi-dormant cloaking system, he guided the Elbow of Fate out of the docking bay. The hull adjusted to the planet's gravity with precision, as if it recognized its pilot instinctively. Once outside, Elias navigated the ship through rocky terrain, dodging detection beams. The Elbow of Fate responded instantly, shielding itself behind natural formations, its engines whispering instead of roaring, minimizing the chance of detection. He thought back to humanity's history, the wars, the discoveries, and the mistakes. Humans were small and fragile compared to other species in the galaxy, but they had a spark, creativity, intuition, and courage that machines could never replicate. It was this spark that now flowed through Elias, guiding him through the perilous landscape. The patrol ship scanned the planet, beams cutting through the darkness like sharp knives. Elias's heart pounded, but he remained calm. He remembered a strategy from centuries ago, a tactic humans had once used in their own small wars. He directed the Elbow of Fate to reflect the patrol's scanning signals, creating the illusion of empty space. The aliens, confused, eventually left, assuming the planet was deserted. Elias exhaled slowly, the tension leaving his body. "That was too close," he muttered. "But we're alive." The ship's AI responded softly, almost like reassurance. Human ingenuity recognized. Probability of survival increased. Elias smiled at the words. He had always known humans were underestimated. The galaxy had believed they were extinct because it had ignored the one thing humans excelled at: adapting when the odds were impossible. He spent hours inside the ship, repairing engines, calibrating weapons, and studying old star maps. The Elbow of Fate was more than a ship. It was a tool, a weapon, and a companion. Its hull seemed almost alive, responding to his touch and commands. He realized that if humans returned to the galaxy, This ship would be their strongest and most dangerous asset. As night fell on the barren planet, Elias looked out at the stars. Each twinkling light represented a world ruled by aliens, worlds that had never known human courage. Yet he felt a flicker of hope. One human armed with ingenuity and a ship built to adapt could change the course of the galaxy. He knew this was only the beginning. Somewhere out there, the Zetherians would realize that humans had returned. They would come for him, for the ship, and for any trace of human legacy. But Elias was ready. He had survived 5 centuries in stasis. He could survive anything. The ship hummed softly, almost as if sensing his resolve. Elias ran his hand along the console. "We have a lot of work to do," he said. "Time to remind the galaxy what humans are capable of." Suddenly, a faint signal appeared on the ship's communication array, a distress beacon. It was weak, almost imperceptible, but it carried a signature that Elias recognized instantly. Human. Somewhere in the galaxy, another human may have survived. A spark of excitement lit his eyes. Humanity was not gone. It was sleeping, waiting for the right moment to rise again. And that moment had come. The stars stretched before him, infinite and unyielding. The elbow of fate lifted off the planet, engines glowing softly. Elias guided the ship toward the nearest star system, ready to face whatever dangers awaited. He was small. He was human. And yet he carried within him the spirit that had once conquered the stars. As the ship left the planet behind, he whispered to himself, "They may be the strongest. They may have the numbers. But I am human, and humans never give up." The galaxy had not seen the last of humanity. It had only seen the first move. And somewhere in the shadows of distant worlds, eyes watched the ship's departure. Alien eyes, cold and calculating, realizing that something unexpected had awakened. The elbow of fate glided through space, carrying a single human, and with him the spark of an entire species that would not be forgotten. Elias guided the elbow of fate through the dark void of space, the stars streaking past like endless rivers of light. Though the ship was powerful, it was damaged in parts. He spent hours running diagnostics, fixing systems with careful precision. Every repaired circuit, every recalibrated engine, felt like a small victory. The ship responded as if it understood him, humming softly with life. Despite the solitude, Elias never felt lonely. Humanity had taught him to adapt, to survive, to turn even disadvantage into opportunity. He knew that being clever and unpredictable was often more powerful than raw strength. That was a lesson he would carry through the challenges ahead. The first mission was clear: find other humans if they still existed, and reclaim the legacy of humanity. For centuries, humans had been considered extinct, forgotten in the galaxy ruled by the Zetherians. But Elias knew the truth. Humans were clever, resilient, and relentless. If he could survive, others could too. He opened the ship's ancient star maps. The coordinates of long-abandoned human colonies flickered on the screen. Most were destroyed, yet a few faint signals indicated life, hidden, sleeping, or unaware of their own heritage. Elias's pulse quickened. Humanity was not gone. They were waiting, scattered across the stars, and he would bring them together. But danger was close. The Zetherians were efficient hunters. As Elias charted his course to the nearest human colony, his sensors detected a fleet of Zetherian ships approaching from the nearby system. Their sleek black hulls glinted in starlight, weapon systems humming with deadly precision. They had been alerted by the activation of the elbow of fate. The galaxy believed humans were extinct, and the Zetherians would move quickly to eliminate this anomaly. Elias gritted his teeth. "They always think they can predict humans," he muttered. "They've never met one like me." He adjusted the ship's engines and activated its semi-sentient systems. The elbow of fate was not just a ship. It was a weapon of intelligence and creativity. It could adapt its shields, redirect power, and even camouflage itself in ways alien minds could not anticipate. The Zetherian fleet closed in. Elias studied their formations, noticing patterns that suggested arrogance. They believed sheer numbers guaranteed victory. That was their weakness. Humans thrived on unpredictability. He guided the ship toward an asteroid field, weaving between massive rocks with precision. The Zetherian ships followed blindly, their sensors unable to distinguish natural terrain from deliberate maneuvers. Elias used the ship's energy to trigger small explosions from hidden charges in the asteroid belt, creating chaos and confusion. Ships collided or were forced to retreat. The elbow of fate slipped through undetected. Patience and cleverness always win, Elias said to himself, a small smile forming on his face. Hours later, he reached a planet marked on the star map, a colony that had once belonged to humans. The surface was harsh, dotted with jagged mountains and shallow seas, but life signs flickered faintly beneath the terrain. Elias guided the ship closer, scanning for human presence. His sensors detected cryogenic pods buried under layers of sediment and rock, still operational after centuries. Heart-pounding, Elias carefully accessed the control systems. The pods opened, and one by one humans began to awaken. They were weak, confused, and frightened, but Elias's calm presence reassured them. "You're safe now," he said. "We survived. Humanity is back." The humans stared at him in awe. Elias was small, ordinary in appearance, yet his eyes held determination and intelligence that inspired confidence. He explained what had happened, how humans had been hunted to near extinction, and how they now had a chance to reclaim their place in the galaxy. As the newly awakened humans explored the elbow of fate, they marveled at the ship's capabilities. Its hull shimmered with energy, and its AI responded to commands with speed and precision. "This ship, it's alive," one of them whispered. Elias nodded. "It's more than a ship. It's our chance. Together we can survive and we can fight back." But the galaxy was not patient. The Zytherians had traced Elias to the colony. Their flagship, a massive vessel known as the Titan of Shadows, moved into the system, its presence sending ripples through space. It was a warship designed for destruction, control, and terror, carrying weapons that could obliterate entire planets. Elias assessed the situation. Direct combat was impossible. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But humans had a strength the Zytherians could never measure. Imagination, ingenuity, and the courage to take risks others would not dare. He gathered the humans, explaining a plan. They would not flee. They would fight smart, using strategy instead of brute force. Using the terrain of the planet, hidden tunnels, and makeshift defenses, they prepared traps and ambushes designed to mislead the enemy. Elias worked tirelessly, repairing and upgrading the elbow of fate while teaching the humans how to coordinate, how to think like humans again, rather than hiding in fear. Every system repaired, every weapon calibrated, brought them closer to readiness. When the Zytherian patrols finally arrived, they were met with unexpected resistance. Mines hidden in craters, laser traps camouflaged among the rocks, and sudden attacks from hidden positions confused them. The humans moved with agility and intelligence, striking where the aliens expected nothing. Elias piloted the elbow of fate from above, guiding attacks and coordinating movements. The ship's energy shields adapted in real time, absorbing enemy fire and redirecting it back toward the attackers. The Zytherians had never seen anything like it. They were used to precision, efficiency, and predictability, but humans were unpredictable. Hours turned into days as the humans learned to work together, combining their wits with the ship's technology. Every encounter made them stronger, more confident, more human. Elias watched them, proud of their courage, yet he knew this was only the beginning. The Titan of Shadows was still in the system, waiting for a chance to strike. Their small victories were impressive, but the ultimate challenge awaited. They had survived, but now they had to reclaim their place in the galaxy. As night fell over the planet, Elias stood outside the elbow of fate, looking at the stars. One by one, the humans gathered around, inspired by his determination. "We are humans," he said. "Small, clever, and underestimated. But we survive and we fight. They may have the numbers, but they will never have what we do. Our courage and our creativity. Together we can take back what is ours." The humans nodded, their eyes shining with hope. For centuries they had been forgotten. But now, under Elias's leadership and with the elbow of fate, humanity was waking up. And somewhere in the galaxy the Zytherians watched, unaware that they had just begun to witness the return of a species that could not be predicted, controlled or defeated easily. Elias climbed back into the elbow of fate's cockpit. The ship hummed around him, responding to his touch. He smiled. "We are ready," he said. "Time to remind the galaxy what humans are capable of." The stars stretched endlessly before them, and for the first time in centuries, humanity had a chance to reclaim its destiny. The journey had begun. The stars stretched endlessly as the elbow of fate left the small human colony behind. Elias sat in the cockpit, eyes scanning the galaxy. The humans he had awakened were learning quickly, their minds sharp despite centuries of slumber. They were no longer afraid. They were ready to act. Captain Elias, one of the humans, said, approaching the controls. Her name was Lyra, a former engineer from the old human fleets. We've gathered enough supplies, and the elbow of fate is fully operational. What's our next move? Elias smiled. We fight smart, not recklessly. The Zetherians think they are unbeatable. They rely on numbers, precision, and logic. But humans? He paused, letting the weight of the words settle. Humans are unpredictable, and that is our strength. The ship hummed as its AI adjusted systems, powering weapons, shields, and engines simultaneously. It was semi-sentient, a companion in every sense, capable of learning and adapting with Elias's guidance. We can make them regret underestimating us, he added. The first strike came sooner than expected. A Zetherian reconnaissance fleet had detected the human colony's activity. Several sleek black ships approached, scanning the system. Elias studied their formations. Predictable, confident. He smiled. Prepare for evasive maneuvers, he instructed. We will show them that humans are not easy prey. Using the elbow of fate's adaptive systems, Elias guided the ship through a dense asteroid field. The Zetherians followed, unaware of the hidden hazards. Elias activated the ship's energy redirection system, sending small bursts of power to create dazzling illusions among the asteroids. The fleet's sensors were thrown off and two ships collided silently, their hulls shattering in the void. The humans cheered. We can do this, Lyra exclaimed. Elias nodded. Yes, but this is just the beginning. Over the next several days, the elbow of fate struck swiftly and silently at Zetherian supply lines. The humans were careful. They attacked only when necessary, using their creativity to outsmart enemies rather than face them head-on. Supply ships vanished into the void, communications were disrupted, and the Zetherians began to question their own strategies. It was during one of these missions that Elias received a faint signal, a distress beacon unlike any he had seen before. It carried the unmistakable signature of another human. His heart leapt. Humanity was not just surviving in one place. They were scattered across the galaxy, waiting for someone to lead them. We have to help them, Elias said, plotting a course toward the source of the signal. Every human we save strengthens our chances. Every mind awakened is a spark of resistance. The ship entered a system cloaked in darkness. Asteroids drifted like silent guardians around a small planet, whose surface was scarred from battles long ago. Sensors detected multiple life forms in cryochambers, similar to the ones Elias had found on the first colony. This is it, he said. Time to wake more of our kind. Carefully, Elias activated the recovery systems. One by one, the pods opened and humans emerged, weak but alive. They stared at the ship, at Elias, in awe and disbelief. You are human? One whispered. Elias nodded. Yes, and you're not alone anymore. Humans survived. Humanity is waking up. The newly awakened humans quickly adapted to the ship's systems. Lyra and Elias trained them in basic operations, teaching them how to work as a team, how to use strategy over brute force, and how to trust in human ingenuity. The elbow of fate became a school, a training ground, and a symbol of hope. But the Zetherians were relentless. The Titan of Shadows, the massive warship Elias had glimpsed before, was moving toward the system. Its engines glowed ominously, a reminder of the danger that awaited. Elias knew that direct combat would be deadly. They could not face it head-on. They needed cleverness, daring, and adaptability. He devised a plan. Using the planet's natural defenses and the asteroid field surrounding it, the elbow of fate created decoys and ambushes. The humans worked together, coordinating with precision, laying traps and preparing for a confrontation that would test everything they had learned. When the Titan arrived, it unleashed its full power. Energy beams cut through space, targeting the planet and the small human fleet. But Elias had anticipated this. The ship darted between asteroids, redirecting energy bursts to create false signals. Several of the Titan's weapons fired at empty space, wasting precious resources. Keep moving, Elias shouted. Every mistake they make is ours to use. The humans acted with surprising skill, striking weak points in the smaller support ships of the Zetherian fleet. They used improvisation, timing, and coordination, things the aliens could not predict. The elbow of fate became a beacon of ingenuity, striking quickly, disappearing, and striking again. Elias watched the battlefield with sharp focus. The Titan fired repeatedly, but the ship's adaptive shields absorbed and redirected energy, striking back at key targets. The humans cheered as they saw their first victories, small tactical successes that began to turn the tide. During the battle, Elias realized something incredible. The elbow of fate was learning from them. It began to anticipate the Zetherians' moves, adjusting weapons and shields automatically, almost as if it could think. Elias smiled. Humans had always been underestimated because of their size and numbers, but their minds, their creativity, and their willpower were unmatched. The ship was now an extension of that human spirit. Hours passed. The battle was intense, but slowly, the Zetherians began to retreat, confused and frustrated. Their systems could not adapt to the human unpredictability, the clever maneuvers, and the daring strategies. "We did it," Lyra exclaimed. They're retreating." Elias remained focused. "It's a start. But the Titan is still out there. Our work is not finished." The humans celebrated their small victories, but Elias reminded them that the fight had just begun. "We are not just surviving anymore," he said. "We are reclaiming our place in the galaxy. But we must remain clever, adaptable, and courageous. That is what makes us human." The elbow of fate glided through space, carrying its crew toward the next mission. Each encounter made them stronger, more confident, and more determined. Humanity was waking, and their return would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. As they traveled, Elias received another faint signal, another human, somewhere farther across the stars. He smiled, feeling hope rise. Humanity was no longer extinct. They were rising one spark at a time, and nothing in the galaxy could ignore them for long. The stars beckoned, full of danger and opportunity. Elias knew the Zetherians would strike again, stronger and smarter. But humans had something the aliens could never understand: creativity, courage, and the will to survive against all odds. And with the elbow of fate leading the charge, Elias knew humanity was ready to fight back, reclaim lost worlds, and show the galaxy that humans were not to be underestimated. The journey of resistance had truly begun. The stars glimmered coldly as the elbow of fate approached the outskirts of a dense star system. Elias studied the readings with calm intensity. The Zetherians were closing in. Their flagship, the Titan of Shadows, was moving like a predator across the void, its presence a constant reminder of the danger that awaited. Elias leaned back in his seat, his eyes sharp. "This is it," he said quietly. "The real test begins now." The humans in the ship's crew were tense but determined. Each had trained for this moment, learning the ship's systems and practicing strategies that combined human unpredictability with the elbow of fate's adaptive technology. Lyra at the engineering console checked the ship's weapons and shields for the final time. "Everything is ready," she said. "We can do this," Elias nodded. "Remember, we're not just fighting for survival. We're proving that humans can outthink anyone, even the strongest warship in the galaxy. Stay sharp, stay clever." Ahead, the Titan of Shadows appeared, massive and menacing. Its black hull reflected distant starlight like polished obsidian. Its engines glowed with deadly intent, and weapon systems hummed in anticipation. The Zetherians had not forgotten the small human ship that had defied them, and they were coming to finish the job. Elias guided the elbow of fate closer to a cluster of asteroids surrounding a small, uninhabited planet. "We'll use the terrain to our advantage," he said. "They rely on power and precision. We rely on creativity." The Titan fired first. Massive energy beams lanced through space, striking asteroids that suddenly exploded in showers of rock and debris. The humans inside the elbow of fate held their breath as the ship darted and twisted between obstacles, narrowly avoiding the deadly blasts. Elias's mind worked quickly. He activated the ship's adaptive shields, redirecting some energy beams into nearby asteroids to create false signals. The Titan sensors were fooled. Its targeting systems fired repeatedly, hitting nothing but empty space. "Now!" Elias shouted. The humans in the ship acted in perfect coordination. Small fighter drones launched from the ship, striking at the Titan's vulnerable points. The ship's AI anticipated movements, adjusting shields and weapons to strike precisely at exposed hulls. The Zytherians were caught off guard. The Titan roared in response, its weapons flaring. It had never faced such unconventional tactics. Its pilots tried to predict the human moves, but Elias was always one step ahead, exploiting weaknesses the aliens had never imagined. "This is incredible," Lyra whispered. "They've never seen humans fight like this." Elias smiled grimly. "They're about to learn." The battle raged across the asteroid field, debris colliding and scattering like deadly confetti. The humans moved with agility, using the terrain to hide and strike. Elias maneuvered the elbow of fate with precision, weaving through explosions, dodging energy blasts, and launching counterattacks. Hours passed. The Titan of Shadows began to falter, its shields weakening as it struggled to adapt to the humans' creativity. Elias's crew had anticipated every move, every strike. The humans were no longer just surviving. They were taking the fight to the Zytherians. But Elias knew the Titan was not defeated yet. Its captain, a warlord known for ruthless efficiency, was brilliant in strategy. The final confrontation was approaching. Elias plotted a daring maneuver. He would lure the Titan into a narrow corridor of asteroids where its size would become a disadvantage. "All hands, prepare for the final phase," Elias commanded. "This is our chance. Remember, we fight smart, not recklessly. Let them underestimate us. That is our advantage." The Titan followed, its engines flaring as it pursued the human ship. Elias guided the elbow of fate into the corridor. Asteroids pressed close on both sides, forcing careful navigation. The Titan struggled to follow, its massive size making it slow and cumbersome. Elias activated a hidden function in the ship's adaptive systems, sending a burst of energy to overload the Titan's sensors. The warship fired blindly, striking the asteroids instead of the ship. In a coordinated move, the elbow of fate launched a series of precise strikes at the Titan's engines and weapons systems. The Zytherians realized too late that they had been trapped. Explosions rocked the corridor as asteroids collided with the Titan, aided by the clever placement of energy pulses from the elbow of fate. The massive ship groaned under the combined pressure, its shields faltering. "Now, humans," Elias shouted. "Focus fire on the exposed core." The crew acted instantly. Every weapon, every system, every human effort concentrated on a single point. The Titan shuddered violently, sparks flying from its damaged hull. Then, with a final surge of energy, the warship's core overloaded, sending a massive shockwave through the asteroid corridor. The Titan of Shadows was crippled. Its systems offline, its engines destroyed, it drifted powerless among the asteroids. Elias allowed himself a brief moment of relief. Humanity had struck a major victory, but the cost was clear. The battle had been intense and the crew was exhausted. The humans cheered, a mixture of joy and relief washing over them. Elias smiled, proud of their courage and skill. "This is what humans do," he said. "We are underestimated, but we survive, we adapt. And we fight in ways no one can predict." Lyra approached him, her eyes shining. "They will come back, won't they?" she asked. Elias nodded. "Yes, but now they know something important. Humans are clever, and we are not to be underestimated. We've shown them that brains and courage can defeat even the strongest ship." The elbow of fate glided through the debris-strewn corridor, carrying its crew to safety. The humans were exhausted, but their confidence had grown. They had seen firsthand what could be accomplished when humans worked together, combining ingenuity with courage. As they left the asteroid field, Elias plotted a course to locate more human survivors. The galaxy was vast, and many had been hidden for centuries. Each human he found would strengthen their growing resistance, each one a spark to ignite a larger flame. The victory over the Titan of Shadows was significant, but Elias knew the Zytherians would return, stronger and smarter. Their arrogance would not allow defeat to go unanswered. The humans needed to continue evolving, to stay unpredictable and to remain united. The stars stretched before them, filled with danger and opportunity. Elias gazed at them, thinking of the humans awakening across the galaxy. One by one they would rise, and together they would reclaim what was lost. "Humanity is waking," he whispered, "and the galaxy will never forget us again." The elbow of fate glided onward, carrying its crew toward new challenges, new victories, and the promise of a future where humans were not just survivors, they were a force to be reckoned with. Somewhere, in the dark reaches of the galaxy, the remnants of the Zytherian fleet observed the aftermath of the battle. Confusion, fear, and disbelief rippled through their ranks. The humans had survived, They had struck boldly, and for the first time, the aliens realized that humanity was more than just a small, fragile species. They were clever, fearless, and unstoppable when united. The clash of fates had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.